Have you ever met someone who, without uttering a word, seems to carry an energy so profound it shifts the entire atmosphere? There's something inexplicably magnetic about their presence. Maybe it's the way they look at you, not just seeing you, but truly seeing you. You feel exposed, not in a way that leaves you vulnerable, but in a way that makes you feel understood, even cherished. These are the signs of a naturally spiritually gifted person, and if you've encountered one, you know exactly what I mean. We often think of spiritual gifts as something dramatic or flamboyant visions, miracles, or supernatural powers. But the truth is, the most naturally spiritually gifted individuals rarely announce themselves. Their essence is quiet, yet it roars like thunder within the soul of those who meet them.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lessons.
Have you ever paused to wonder why some people make you feel at peace just by standing near them? Why their advice, even if it's simple, strikes a chord that stays with you for days, weeks, or even years. These individuals move through the world with an uncanny grace. It's not that they are free from hardship, far from it. Their lives are often marked by deep, unrelenting challenges. But it's how they carry these struggles that sets them apart. You'll notice they don't complain much. They don't blame the world or their circumstances. Instead, their pain seems to alchemize into wisdom, a wisdom they share effortlessly, often without even realizing it. When you meet someone like this, you'll notice they have a rare ability to listen not just to your words, but to what lies beneath them. They hear the unspoken. They sense the emotions you try to hide. And when they respond, their words don't just address your surface concerns, they strike at the very root of your being. It's as if they've been given a map to your soul, and they know exactly which path to take to help you find clarity. But what makes them spiritually gifted? Is it something they're born with, or is it something they've cultivated over time? The answer, I believe, lies somewhere in between. You see, spiritual gifts are like seeds. Some people come into this world with these seeds already planted deep within them. For others, life plants the seeds through hardship, loss, and the search for meaning. But here's the catch: those seeds don't grow unless they're nurtured. And spiritual growth often demands sacrifice, a willingness to face the dark corners of the soul, to question everything, and to surrender to truths that might shatter the ego. When you meet someone who's done this work, you'll feel it instantly. Their energy is different. It's not louder or brighter than anyone else's. It's deeper. It's grounding. Being around them feels like standing in the middle of a forest after a rainstorm, where everything smells fresh and alive, yet ancient and timeless. It's as if they've tapped into something eternal, something that exists beyond the chaos of daily life. But here's a question for you: how do you respond when you meet someone like this? Do you recognize their gift immediately? Or does it take time for their impact to sink in? And more importantly, what do they awaken within you? Because here's the thing about spiritually gifted people: their presence is never random. If you've crossed paths with one, there's a reason. Perhaps they're here to guide you. Perhaps they're here to challenge you. Or perhaps they're here to hold up a mirror so you can see your own spiritual gifts, the ones you've been too afraid to acknowledge. Think back to someone who's changed your life, not necessarily in a dramatic way, but in a way that left you quietly transformed. Maybe it was a teacher, a friend, or even a stranger you only met once. What was it about them that stayed with you? Did they make you feel safe? Did they give you the courage to face something you'd been avoiding? Or did they simply remind you of something you already knew deep down but had forgotten? Spiritual gifts aren't always about what someone does. Often, they're about what someone is. Their very being becomes a gift to those around them. It's not something they try to do, it's simply who they are. And this, I believe, is what sets naturally spiritually gifted people apart. They don't need to convince you of their abilities. They don't need to prove anything. Their presence speaks for itself. But let's go deeper for a moment. Why do these individuals often feel like they're carrying a heavy burden? Because spiritual gifts, while beautiful, come with a cost. To see the world as it truly is, to feel the pain of others, to sense the energy of a room, to dream dreams that reveal truths no one else can see, can be overwhelming. It's like carrying a radio that's always tuned into 1,000 frequencies at once. And yet, these individuals find a way to turn that noise into harmony, to use their gifts for the benefit of others. Have you ever wondered if you might be spiritually gifted? If so, ask yourself this: do you often sense things others don't? Do you feel deeply connected to nature, to animals, or to the unseen forces that seem to guide the universe? Do strangers confide in you without knowing why? Do you have moments of intuition so strong they feel like glimpses into another reality? If any of this resonates, you may be more spiritually gifted than you realize. But here's the truth: recognizing your gift is only the first step. The real challenge lies in learning how to use it. Because spiritual gifts aren't just for you, they're meant to be shared. They're meant to heal, to inspire, to guide. And this is where the true work begins. So, the next time you meet someone who feels different, someone whose presence lingers in your mind long after they've gone, pay attention. Observe how they make you feel. Notice what they awaken within you. Because chances are, they're not just here for themselves. They're here for you. Let's explore something deeper. Imagine for a moment what it really means to live with a spiritual gift. At first glance, it sounds like a blessing, and it is, make no mistake. But as with all blessings, there is a weight that comes with it. Spiritually gifted people often live in two worlds simultaneously: the tangible, physical world that most of us navigate daily, and the unseen world of energy, intuition, and connection. This dual existence is what makes them extraordinary, but it's also what makes their path so challenging. Have you ever noticed how many spiritually gifted individuals seem to feel out of place in the world? It's as if they're constantly walking a fine line between fitting into society and staying true to the deeper truths they know. This struggle often begins early in life. As children, spiritually gifted people are usually more sensitive than their peers. They may feel overwhelmed by loud noises, bright lights, or chaotic environments. They might sense things others can't, like the emotions of adults who are trying to hide their struggles, or the subtle shifts in energy when something isn't right. Now, think about how isolating that must feel. Imagine being a child and knowing instinctively that you're different, but not understanding why. Imagine trying to explain to adults that you just know something will happen, or that you can feel someone's pain, only to be dismissed or even ridiculed. Many spiritually gifted people learn early on to suppress their abilities because they're afraid of being misunderstood. But suppressing a gift doesn't make it go away, it only creates inner conflict. As they grow older, spiritually gifted individuals often find themselves drawn to solitude. It's not that they dislike people, in fact, they often care deeply about others. But being around too many people, especially those with heavy or chaotic energy, can feel draining. This is why they might prefer quiet, peaceful environments, places where they can recharge and reconnect with themselves. But here's the paradox: while they crave solitude, they're also deeply connected to humanity. They feel a profound sense of responsibility to help others, to heal, to guide. And this is where the burden of their gift becomes most apparent. You see, spiritually gifted people often attract those who are lost, broken, or in pain. It's as if their light acts as a beacon, drawing others to them. While this is beautiful, it can also be overwhelming. Think about it. How would you feel if everyone you met seemed to unload their deepest fears and struggles onto you? How would you feel if you could sense the pain and suffering of those around you, even when they didn't say a word? This is the reality for many spiritually gifted people. They carry not only their own emotions, but also the emotions of others. But here's where their true strength lies. Despite the weight they carry, they find ways to transform that heaviness into healing. They don't just absorb the pain of others, they transmute it. They take what is broken and help make it whole again. And they do this not through force, but through presence. Their very being has a way of calming storms, of bringing clarity to confusion, of reminding others of their own inner strength. If you've met someone like this, you might notice that they rarely judge others. They seem to have an innate understanding that everyone is on their own unique journey. They know that pain and mistakes are often the catalysts for growth. This perspective allows them to offer compassion instead of criticism, understanding instead of blame. But let me ask you something. When was the last time you truly allowed yourself to open up to someone like this? When was the last time you let yourself be vulnerable in the presence of someone who could see the real you? And if you haven't, what's holding you back? Because spiritually gifted people don't just connect with others for the sake of connection, they do so to help awaken something within you. Let's pause for a moment and reflect on this. What are the qualities of a spiritually gifted person that resonate most deeply with you? Is it their ability to remain calm in the face of chaos? Their quiet wisdom? Their unwavering empathy? Or perhaps it's something more subtle, the way they make you feel seen, heard, and understood in a way that few others can. The truth is, spiritually gifted people are mirrors. They reflect back to us our own potential, our own power, and our own connection to the greater mysteries of life. This is why their presence can feel both comforting and unsettling. They challenge us not in a confrontational way, but in a way that makes us question the stories we've been telling ourselves. But let's not romanticize their journey too much. As I mentioned earlier, spiritual gifts come with a cost. Many spiritually gifted people struggle with feelings of loneliness. They often feel like outsiders, not because they want to be, but because their way of seeing the world is so different from the mainstream. They may find it difficult to form deep connections with others, not because they lack the ability, but because they crave authenticity in a world that often values appearances over substance. This is why spiritually gifted people often find themselves drawn to nature. In the natural world, they feel a sense of belonging that can be hard to find among humans. The rustling of leaves, the sound of waves, the vastness of the sky, these are the places where their souls feel at home. And it's in these moments of solitude that they recharge, reconnect, and remember who they are. But even in their solitude, they never lose their connection to others. In fact, their time alone often deepens their ability to serve. They return to the world not with a sense of detachment, but with a renewed sense of purpose. They understand that their gifts are not just for themselves, they are meant to be shared. So here's another question for you. If you've met someone who seems naturally spiritually gifted, how have they impacted your life? Have they inspired you to see the world differently? Have they helped you find clarity in moments of confusion? Have they reminded you of your own strength, your own wisdom, your own connection to something greater? And one final question: could it be that you are spiritually gifted as well? Could it be that the reason you're drawn to this topic, to this conversation, is because something within you recognizes a truth you've always known but haven't yet fully embraced? Let's take a moment to sit with the idea that spiritual gifts aren't reserved for a select few. What if, deep within each of us, there lies a dormant gift waiting to be awakened? What if the very reason you've been drawn to this topic, to this exploration, is because there's something within you stirring, whispering, calling out for recognition? The truth is, you don't need to meet a spiritually gifted person to awaken your own gift. But when you do meet someone like that, it can act as a catalyst. Their presence serves as a reminder of what's possible. They show you, often without saying a word, that there's more to life than what we see on the surface. They show you that there's a deeper reality, one that is always available to you if you have the courage to look inward. But what does it mean to awaken a spiritual gift? For some, it's a sudden realization, a moment of clarity so profound it changes everything. For others, it's a gradual process, like the slow unfurling of a flower. Either way, the journey begins with one simple but powerful step: awareness. Awareness is the key that unlocks the door to your spiritual gift. It starts with paying attention not just to the world around you, but to the world within you. What do you notice when you're alone in silence? What thoughts, feelings, and sensations arise when you let yourself be still? And perhaps more importantly, what do you avoid when the world gets quiet? You see, spiritual gifts often emerge from the parts of ourselves we've ignored, suppressed, or denied. They live in the spaces we're too afraid to explore. This is why the path to awakening can feel so daunting. It requires us to face not only our light, but also our shadows. It requires us to confront the parts of ourselves that we've hidden away, the parts we've labeled as too much or not enough. But here's the paradox: the very things you've been running from might hold the key to your gift. The pain you've endured, the struggles you've faced, the questions that keep you up at night, these are not obstacles on your path. They are the path. They are the alchemical ingredients that, when embraced, can transform you into the person you were always meant to be. Take a moment to reflect on your own life. What challenges have shaped you? What experiences have left a mark so deep it feels like it will never fade? And what have you learned from these moments? Because here's the thing about spiritually gifted people: they didn't become who they are. Despite their struggles, they became who they are because of them. When you meet someone who's naturally spiritually gifted, you'll notice that they often carry a quiet strength. It's not the kind of strength that comes from power or dominance. It's the kind of strength that comes from surrender. They've learned to let go of the need to control everything. They've learned to trust in something greater than themselves, whether that's the universe, God, nature, or simply the flow of life. And this is where the journey to awakening your own gift begins: with surrender. Surrender doesn't mean giving up. It doesn't mean becoming passive or complacent. It means letting go of the illusion that you have to do everything on your own. It means opening yourself up to the possibility that there's a force greater than you, one that is guiding you, supporting you, and working through you. But surrender is only the beginning. Once you've opened yourself to the possibility of something greater, the real work begins. This work is not about adding something to yourself, it's about peeling away the layers of conditioning, fear, and doubt that have kept you from seeing who you truly are. It's about remembering, not learning. Think about it. When was the last time you felt truly alive? Not just happy or content, but deeply, unshakably alive? Was it when you stood on the edge of a mountain, looking out at a view so vast it took your breath away? Was it when you held someone you love, feeling the depth of connection that words could never capture? Or was it in a quiet moment, alone, when you felt the presence of something you couldn't quite name but knew was real? These moments are not random. They are glimpses into your true nature. They are reminders that beneath the noise and distractions of daily life, there is a still, sacred space within you that is always available. And this space is where your spiritual gift resides. But here's the thing, awakening your gift is not enough. Once you've tapped into it, you have a responsibility to yourself, to others, to the world. Spiritual gifts are not meant to be hoarded, they are meant to be shared. They are a bridge between you and the people around you, a way to bring light to the darkest corners of the human experience. So how do you share your gift? Start small. Pay attention to the moments when you feel most connected to others. Maybe it's when you listen deeply to a friend who's struggling. Maybe it's when you create something, a piece of art, a meal, a conversation that brings joy or comfort to someone else. Maybe it's when you simply show up, fully present, for the people in your life. And as you begin to share your gift, you'll notice something remarkable. It grows. The more you give, the more you receive. The more you trust in your gift, the more it reveals itself to you. And the more you align with your gift, the more you'll find yourself drawn to people, places, and experiences that support your growth. But let me ask you one final question. What's stopping you from awakening your gift? Is it fear? Doubt? A feeling that you're not special enough? If so, let me remind you of something you already know deep down. You are here for a reason. You have a purpose. And while that purpose might not always be clear, it is always present, waiting for you to take the first step. So, the next time you meet someone who seems naturally spiritually gifted, don't just admire them. Let them inspire you to look within. Let their presence remind you of your own potential, your own power, your own connection to something greater. Because the truth is, the world doesn't just need a few spiritually gifted people, it needs all of us to awaken to our gifts. And maybe, just maybe, the person you've been waiting for to help you on this journey isn't someone else. Maybe it's you. If you've gotten this far, ask yourself, what will you do with this knowledge? Will you let it pass you by? Or will you take the first step toward awakening the gift that's been waiting for you all along? The choice is yours. The journey is yours. The gift is yours.